בוקר טוב לכולם וברוכים הבאים למושב הפתיחה של חבר הנאמנים ה-49 של אוניברסיטת בן-גוריון בנגב. That's all the Hebrew that I will speak this morning. Good morning, bonjour, buenos dias, and welcome to the opening plenary session of the 49th Board of Governors meeting. My name is Chaim Hames, and I am the rector or provost of the university. We have a full program ahead of us, which we hope you will find both interesting and enjoyable. This past year has seen changes in the leadership of this university. On the 1st of August 2018, a couple of months after the previous Board of Governors meeting, I officially took office, having been elected to my position by the Senate, the highest academic body of the university. Prior to my election, I was Dean of the Faculty of the Humanities and Social Sciences, one of the 5 faculties which, along with the Institutes of Desert Research at Sde Boker, are the backbone of the academic structure of this university. The other faculties, headed by their respective deans, which make up our comprehensive university, are natural sciences, engineering sciences, health sciences, and business as management. And we should not forget, of course, our campus in Eilat. I am a historian by training, and I started my academic career here at Ben-Gurion University of the Negev almost 24 years ago, having completed my doctorate at the University of Cambridge. While researching, writing, and teaching about the ways ideas move between religions and the exchange of knowledge between cultures, I have also been part and parcel of the growth and coming of age of this wonderful institution. And as the first rector to be elected from the humanities, I feel incredibly honored to be standing here before you this morning as the academic leader of the university. Leading this university is an enormous undertaking, and I am delighted to share that task with our new president, Professor Daniel Shamovitz, whom you will hear from later this morning. I did not know him before he was chosen for the position, but over the months since his appointment and his taking office on the 1st of January of this year, we have spent many hours together. And I have been delighted to discover a brilliant scientist and charismatic leader who shares my passion for academia and vision for the university. It does not hurt that he also shares my love for a good whiskey. We both know that as we approach our 50th anniversary and start planning for the next 50 years, our university faces many challenges, but also exciting opportunities. We know that we are building on very strong foundations. And with your aid, support, and encouragement, together with the excellent academic staff that we already have, and the next generation of researchers that we will hire, we are well equipped to face the future and live up to our mission, which is to be a center of academic excellence and have a major impact on the Negev, Israel, and far beyond. So, with change in the air as we inaugurate a new president and open the plenary session of this Board of Governors, I would like to read part of a poem, wonderfully translated from the Hebrew by David Goldstein, written in 12th century Granada by Moses ibn Ezra, which colorfully describes the coming of spring. Wintertime has fled like a shadow. Its storms and gales have already ceased, and the sun, with its own circumscribed law, is full in the ram, like a king in his feast. The hills have put on their turbans of flowers, and the plains their garments of herb and grass. Let the earth release her scent for our nostrils, pent up in her folds till winter could pass. Give me the cup to enthrone my joy, and to relieve my heart of its pain, and temper its heat only with tears, for its angry fires aflame. It is now my honor to invite the chairman of the Board of Governors, Alex Goren, to officially open the 49th Board of Governors meeting.
That's a hard act to follow. It feels as much like yesterday as a very long time ago that Roy Zuckerberg and Rivka Karmi invited me to breakfast at the Mark Hotel on Manhattan's Upper East Side. We gathered to discuss possible candidates to follow in the very large shoes of Roy, who was stepping down as chairman of the board. We talked about BGU and the characteristics we should look for in a new chairman. I even put forward a couple of names. But then I almost fell off my seat when they asked me to be the new chairman. They told me they thought I was the right choice. They assured me that the position would not require much more of me than my post at the time as president of BGU's American Associates. Well, that was wishful thinking. The idea never occurred to me, and it took some time for me to process it. I told them that I was greatly honored, that I would discuss it with my wife, and go back to them in a few days. The truth is, I hadn't really seen myself as chairman of the board, but as I reflected, I figured that if two people who I admired so much as Roy and Rivka thought so, who was I to disagree? After all, I had been closely connected to the university since 1973, shortly after it opened its door to a small number of pioneering students. I have felt like a stakeholder over the past 4+ decades in the incredible development of the university, in the growth of Beersheba, where my family had business over the years in and near the city, and in the entire Negev region. Now, looking back over the past 6 years as board chairman, I have to say that I'm glad I said yes. It has been an amazing honor to serve this very important and beloved university that I have seen grow into a full-fledged internationally ranked research institution. These 6 years have been full of sticky challenges and enormous excitement. Rivka introduced me to the nitty-gritty of running an enterprise of over 20,000 individuals, including faculty members, administrations, staff, and students. I brought no academic expertise other than my own schooling, but relied on Rivka's and that of her many university colleagues, from whom I learned very much. There is also, what also stands out is the close collaboration that developed over these years with Rivka, with the chairman of the executive committee, Asher Halid, who has strong diplomatic leadership skills, and with the university's rector, Tzvia Cohen. Thank you all so much for the opportunity to be part of the inner working of a BGU. I hope I was able to offer a different perspective from time to time, from my own decades of experience in business and finance, some of it in Israel, and my position as a layman representative of the university's legions of friends around the world. What Rivka has done for this institution is impossible to sum up in a few sentences. But suffice it to say that she provided inspirational stewardship and brought BGU to a greater and greater heights. There are not enough ways to thank her for her wonderful leadership of the university during the last 12 years and for having been such an exceptional partner. She guided the university through every challenge with a steady hand and traveled widely to visit her international associates and donors. To me, she was an exceptional partner. Thank you, Rivka. In these years, there have been so many moments of great satisfaction. Please indulge me as I reminisce about a few of them. When I was president of ABGU, we provided the funding for the American Associates Villages Stable Care. During my term as chairman, we completed phases 3 and 4 of the construction. Because of this effort, we can house enough students to maximize the facility's capacity, thus maintaining its global preeminence. One of my stated goals upon becoming president of ABGU was the rejuvenation of the very old US board. Thanks to the generosity and active involvement of Wayne Woodman, we were able to launch the Zinn Fellows. So far, our extremely successful cohorts of young executives have gone through the program, and 19 of the graduates have joined the ABGU board. I am proud of the fact that my son Andrea was a member of the first cohort, and I expect that many others will become major donors and active members of the BGU board as well. Towards the middle of my tenure as university chairman, I launched the idea of a $500 million campaign to celebrate BGU's 50th year. Although there was some initial skepticism, it did not stop ABGU, as well as all the other National Friends Association, from getting on board. Now the 2020 Vision 50th Anniversary campaign is in full swing. Not only are we well on our way to meet the challenge but thanks to the incredibly generous donation of the Marcus family, by far the largest single donation ever received by an Israeli institution, we are considering upping our goal to 1 billion by including the extraordinary gift in our calculation. And we are looking forward for your help to reach the goal. Beersheba has become Israel's cybersecurity fulcrum, where Ben-Gurion University preeminent cybersecurity center, Israel's National Cyber Bureau, and highly advanced cyber research facilities of some of the world's major players interact and cooperate, which has become the Silicon Wadi. Plans for the North Campus, the gateway to BGU's future as a major global research university, were finalized. The first 4 buildings were erected in the Advanced Technology Park. They housed the Research and Development Department of Excellence of some of the major global technology giants, as well as about 3,500 employees, many of them BGU students or graduates. Allow me also to take this opportunity to congratulate Chaim Hames, our new rector. I admire his very interesting and forward-looking ideas, and I'm convinced that he and our new president will spearhead a leadership team that in the years to come, together with our wonderful faculty, will make BGU a global beacon in many areas of excellence. Of all the many endeavors of the past 6 years, none stands out more vividly than the search for a successor for the remarkable Rivka, a task her excellence made much more difficult. Asher Heled and the other members of the search committee and I devoted many hours to this task, and we couldn't be more pleased with the outcome. How many ways can I say how thrilled and excited we are to welcome the dynamic Professor Daniel Shamovitz to his new position as president of BGU. He comes to us with an impressive record of past achievement as an internationally renowned researcher and experienced faculty dean. In my short acquaintance with him, the positive force of his personality and intelligence have made an impression on me, and I believe that he has all the qualities of a great leader. I'm confident that he will advance the university in research and education, making it an institution to be envied that will serve as a model for academic achievement. I consider his appointment one of the most important achievements of my tenure as board chairman and the planting of an important stake in the long-term future of BGU. I feel that I'm stepping down at the high point, and I'm delighted to also announce that Lloyd Goldman, currently deputy chairman, has agreed to take over the role as chairman of the board of governors. Lloyd and his family are an integral part of the fabric of the university. Magnanimous donor and a valued member of the University Chairman's Council, his wisdom and energy will be invaluable to our continuing work. I thank him for agreeing to take over this responsibility. I've known Lloyd for many years and have great respect for his business acumen and for his good common sense. I wish him as successful a partnership with Danny as I had with Rivka. These are exciting times filled with opportunity and new beginnings. I have every confidence that by harmoniously working together and communicating our message, the worldwide Ben-Gurion University family will accomplish the goals set forth by this institution. My friends and fellow governors, before we move on to the procedural part of this session, in which you will be asked to ratify the recent changes in leadership, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you all. It has been an honor to serve as chairman of the Board of Governors, and I look forward to continuing my wholehearted support of and cooperation with the university for many more years to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alex. It has been my pleasure over the past few years to get to know Alex Gorin, our outgoing chairman of the board, and to appreciate what the family has done and is doing for the university. One of these things was the establishment of the Goldstein-Gorin International Center of Jewish Thought, which, among other things, presents a prize for most important book in Jewish thought that has appeared in recent years. I invite Professor Chaim Kreisel, chairman of the Goldstein-Gorin International Center of Jewish Thought, to announce the winner of the 7th Goldstein-Gorin International Prize for the most important book in Jewish thought for the years 2016-2018.
Dear members of the Ben-Gurion University community, The presentation every 3 years of the Ben-Gurion Award for the Best Book in Jewish Thought affords me an opportunity to fill you in a little on the activities of the vibrant center that is behind the award. Next week, we will host our 7th International Conference, Esotericism in the History of Jewish Thought. For those who unfortunately will not be able to attend, you will be able to catch all the lectures and discussions from this 2.5-day conference on YouTube, as you can tune in to YouTube to watch all the conferences, symposiums, and seminars sponsored by the center. Till now, close to 500 lectures, most of them in Hebrew, but many in English. This includes all the international workshops we have co-sponsored over the years, including one 2 months ago, Women in Biblical and Parabiblical Texts in Jewish and Christian Literatures of Antiquity. The one that will take place in another month, Reading the Bible in the Pre-Modern World, Interpretation, Performance, and Image, will also be made available online shortly afterwards. For those who still prefer the written word, and I hope there are a few of you out there, the final articles emerging from next week's conference will appear next year, so you will have to be a little patient. In the meantime, you can peruse the various volumes from all the previous conferences, as well as other volumes published by the center, till now 25 in number, that have appeared in the series, The Ben-Gurion Library of Jewish Thought. Some of these volumes may even be accessed for free online. The others may be seen in the showcase outside this hall. We also plan to publish at least 3 new books this coming year. Particularly exciting for me is to announce the inaugural issue of our new bilingual journal entitled simply Jewish Thought, which will be open access and will appear next week. Each issue will be devoted to a different theme, and the theme of the first issue is Belief and Heresy in Jewish Thought. Rounding off the center's activities are its postdoctoral fellowships as well as doctoral fellowships that it offers to promising scholars of tomorrow who enroll in the department. These fellowships have helped attract truly exceptional students, contributing to making the department's doctoral program in Jewish thought the best in the world, in my view. Okay, I admit, I am pretty biased on this subject. However, considering the fact that the department's last 2 appointments have been graduates of our program, one who is the recipient of the prestigious Alon Award, and the other the recipient of the prestigious Azrieli Award, one at least can find solid support for my biased opinion. And now, suf, as we say in Hebrew, I turn to the matter of the award winner of our 7th Triennial Book Prize. We hear a lot in the news in the last few years about the clash between the forces of globalization, those who economically and socially are trying to turn the world more and more into an innovative global village, breaking down the different types of barriers, physical, social, religious, political, and cultural, that separate us. And against these forces, the forces of localization, for lack of a better term, or traditionalism. Those who would like to preserve local, including national and religious identities, and keep many of the physical, economic, and social barriers still intact, while preserving local culture. It set me wondering in what ways a form of this conflict is reflected also in our scholarship. In the field of Jewish thought, one can find at one end of the spectrum the push for new approaches to the study of Jewish thought, approaches that are more interdisciplinary in nature, innovative also in the questions that the scholars seek to answer, and more open in the liberal, pluralistic ideology that often they seek to advance in these studies. More than that, these studies appear in English and consciously attempt to be in dialogue with scholars and students from far different areas and disciplines. On the other end of the spectrum are those who remain committed to what their opponents regard as the traditional parochial forms of scholarship, those which focus primarily, if not exclusively, on a careful historical and philological analysis of the primary texts that remain at the heart of our discipline, and who view many of the newer approaches as lacking academic rigor at least in the context of our field. Most of those who belong to this end of the spectrum have been trained in Israel and tend to write in Hebrew. Yet the truth of the matter is that the most important scholars in my field, whether in Israel, America, or in Europe, are all someplace in the middle of these two extremes. They all realize that history and philology remain the primary tools of our research, and yet, in itself, they are insufficient. Then new questions must be asked of our texts, and the insights from other disciplines should not be ignored, though must be utilized carefully. There is also a growing realization that no scholarship is really ideology-free, while at the same time that scholarship that is shaped primarily by ideology really has little of any value as scholarship. And since there is nothing new under the sun, in many ways we are more and more returning to the beginning, to the founders of the scientific study of Judaism in the 19th century, who are all exceptional scholars, but many of them were also ideologues who saw in their scholarship support for their ideology and a way of advancing their ideology. If the first recipients of the Goldstein-Gorin Prize tended to be important books written in Hebrew, more disciplinary than interdisciplinary in nature, and where the author's ideology was not readily evident, this year's award, as well as the previous award, has gone to the books written in Hebrew, more interdisciplinary in nature, while still committed to a careful historical philological analysis of the text being studied, and much more open in the liberal pluralistic ideology that the study ultimately supports. But let me leave you in suspense for one moment longer before announcing the winning selection from the 65 books submitted this year for the prize. Years ago, Professor Gerald Blitzstein, the first chair of the center, told me a story about an American Jewish judge whose name I sadly forgot. The judge was once approached by someone who asked him the following potentially embarrassing question. I often hear you Jews referring to Goyim, but what does the term mean? The judge, without missing a beat, answered that it depends a lot on the intonation of the speaker. If the Jew pronounces the term Goyim, well, it's a positive term, referring to peoples or nations. Let me add that the Jewish people themselves are referred to in the Bible as a great Goy. On the other hand, the judge continued, if the person pronounces the term Goyim, well, that's an entirely different matter. The winner of this year's Goldstein-Gorin Award for the Best Book in Jewish Thought, 2016 to 2018, is Goy, Israel's Multiple Others and the Birth of the Gentile. Written in English by two Israeli scholars, Adi Ophir and Ishai Rosenzvi, the first trained as a political philosopher and the second as a scholar in rabbinic literature, and both from Tel Aviv University. Their book, in short, focuses on the history of how Goyim, a positive term referring to nations, became Goyim in the rabbinic period, as a less than positive way of referring to all non-Jews. Their book incorporates biblical studies, Second Temple and New Testament studies, and rabbinic studies. It is the product of both careful scholarship and philosophic thought. The committee awarding the book this prize consists of three world-renowned scholars in the field of Jewish studies, Chana Kasher from Bar-Ilan University, Jeffrey Rubenstein from New York University, and our own Professor Boaz Hus, who chaired the committee. They write as follows, and I quote, "The book takes on the extremely important task of investigating the genealogy of one of the most central categories of Jewish culture. The Goldstein-Gorin Book Committee was highly impressed with the author's incisive and close reading of primary texts, their sophisticated methodological approach, and their nuanced theoretical analysis. We found the quality and quantity of the scholarship presented in the book very impressive, and the arguments in the book insightful and compelling." End quote. A final word. In the name of the center and the department, I would like to thank the Goldstein-Gorin family for making all this possible, particularly Alex, and of course his father Avram, who, I am sure, is listening from his heavenly abode to this gathering with rapt attention and is very much proud of our activities. At the same time, that he would love to get in touch with us in order to advise us what else the center should be doing or be doing differently. Let me also conclude by thanking you all for your patience and wish you an enjoyable continuation of this meeting and the remaining events. Thank you.
Thank you, Chaim. It's my pleasure to invite again the Chairman of the Board of Governors, Alex Gorin, and the Liaison Officer to the Board of Governors, Orly Perez, to the podium to begin with the procedural matters.
We would like to present the recommendations of the nominating committee for new members of the Board of Governors for a 3-year term. These recommendations are the result of consultation with the relevant associate organizations. Please refer to the new nominations which are presented in the Board of Governors information booklet that were distributed today.
Jack Altman, Canada. Claudia Zobel, Israel. אבנר מימון, ישראל. Larry Vicker, Canada.
All in favor? Anyone against? The nominations are approved by acclamation. Could our new members please rise? I would like to congratulate them on their appointment and wish them great success. I would like to present the recommendations for re-elected members of the Board of Governors whose terms expire this year. These recommendations are the result of consultation with the nominees and the relevant associate organizations, and will not read the entire list, but ask you to refer to the renewal nominations that are in your booklet. All in favor? Anyone against? The nominations are approved by acclamation. I'd like to thank them all for their continued partnership and support. We would like now to express our deep gratitude to the members of the board who will retire at the end of this meeting. I'm confident that we can count on their continued interest and support. As we celebrate the introduction of new members to our family, we must sadly also acknowledge that there are some who have left us during the past year. I respectfully request that the Assembly rise as Orly reads the numbers of the board members who have passed away since our last meeting.
Robert Arno, United States. Arnold Benjis, United States and the United Kingdom. Salman Friedman, United States. Max Javid, United States. Professor Sir Aaron Klug, United Kingdom. Barry Rose, Canada. Friedrich Ziegmund, United States.
May the souls of these dear friends rest in eternal peace, and may their memories be blessed. Please be seated. Yesterday, the Financial Committee reviewed and approved the financial statements valid for September 30th, 2018, which you received electronically in advance. Those in favor, please raise your hands. Any opposed? The board hereby approves the financial statements. This year we have made some amendments to the university constitution and bylaws. After approval by the executive committee, explanation of the amendments was sent to you electronically. You can find them in the information sheets that were distributed today. I now request the Board of Governors to ratify these amendments. All in favor? Anyone against? The amendments are approved by acclamation. This year we are asked to ratify the appointment of a number of individuals who serve in leadership roles. Lloyd Goldman is a lifelong friend of the university, a generous supporter, and a member of the Board of Governors for 13 years. His credentials are presented in the Board of Governors information booklet, and we now request your ratification of his appointment as chairman of the Board of Governors. All in favor? Aye. Anyone against? The appointment is approved by acclamation. Lloyd, please rise. I would like to congratulate you on your appointment and wish you great success. The Board of Governors is now asked to ratify the appointment of Yarom Aryav as chairman of the Executive Committee. After approval by the Executive Committee, Yaron's biography was sent to you electronically. You can also find it in the Board of Governors information. All in favor? Aye. Anyone against? The appointment is approved by acclamation. Yarom, please rise, as we'd like to congratulate you on your appointment and wish you great success. Finally, in keeping with the University Constitution, it was the decision of the President of the Search Committee and the Executive Committee to appoint Professor Daniel Shamovitz as the President of Ben-Gurion University. Professor Shamovitz's biography can be found in the booklet. All in favor? Aye. Anyone against? The appointment is approved by acclamation. We will shortly hear from President Shamovitz, and at this junction, I would ask you all to rise as you would like to offer him our warm congratulations and best wishes for success.
Impact, inspiration, passion, excellence, innovation. Impact, because Ben-Gurion University of the Negev is so unlike any other educational place of learning. Its impact extends beyond these walls, impacting Israel's Negev region through innovation, technology, and commitment to community. Inspiration, because BGU is cutting edge, unraveling the secrets of life and humanity by conducting groundbreaking research, discovering solutions to the world's biggest challenges. Passion, because science is not just a disciple of reason, it's also one of passion. And it's the passion and commitment to advance science, culture, and society that make BGU's flame of knowledge burn bright. Excellence, because BGU's academic training nurtures the next generation with cross-disciplinary studies based on integration of knowledge, from data science to medicine to the humanities. Excellence, because in a place where entrepreneurship reigns, terms like accelerator, hub, and hackathon become the norm. Inspiration, because when inspired, we look for answers, uncovering different ways of thinking, from antiquity to the present day. Inspiration, because the spirit is enriched when surrounded by the beauty of art and architecture. Impact, because BGU is the agent of change, with a myriad of people commuting into this vibrant ecosystem to study and work. Impact, because the moving here of thousands of IDF soldiers and officers caused science and engineering programs to boom, and the new North Campus doubles the university size with its academic and research facilities, Congress Center, and so much more. Passion, because work doesn't work without play, and campus life demands passion, with a vibrant student body, an amazing sense of community, cultural and social events on campus and off, parties, movie theaters, sports center, hubs, and restaurants. So much energy. Excellence, with 3 campuses, 6 faculties, 6 national institutes, and 3 affiliated hospitals. 20,000 enrolled students, a third of whom participate in advanced research programs, 6,700 employees, cooperation with universities throughout the world, and hundreds of overseas students from more than 50 countries. Innovation. Because with a high-tech park alongside campus, BGU is at the heart of Beersheba, making it Israel's cyber capital, a Silicon Valley of the Middle East where leading global companies come to leverage the university's expertise. With 2,500 employees, 60% of whom are BGU graduates. Because in this place, world-class research and global enterprise flourish, generating economic growth with more potential profit per dollar than any other investment in Israel today. Because a rising tide lifts all boats. Finally, inspiration and excellence together make Ben-Gurion University of the Negev the fastest growing research university in Israel, fulfilling the vision of Israel's first prime minister who said, "The future of Israel will emerge from the Negev."
I am greatly honored to be here this morning and for you to have elected me Ben-Gurion University's of the Negev's 7th president. I really am indeed humbled by the trust that you have put in me. As a scientist, I've always been acutely aware that I stand on the shoulders of giants, that my PhD advisor, Professor Yossi Hirschberg, and my postdoc advisor, Professor Xinguang Deng, deeply influenced the way that I do science, that all of my discoveries are based on previous work done in numerous labs, some large and some small, around the world. As president of BGU, I am truly standing on the shoulders of giants. And as many of you have told me, I have very, very large shoes to fill. I am very thankful to Professor Avishai Braverman, literally a giant of a man, whose dreams are today realities all over and all around our amazing campus. Avishai played a large part in luring me to BGU and infecting me with the passion that characterizes the entire Ben-Gurion community. Professor Rivka Karmi led BGU from Avishai's vision to today's reality, skillfully navigating the route from dreams to action. From my conversations with many of you here in this room, I know that Rivka deeply touched the lives of BGU supporters and had a major role in building our international family. I am especially thankful for her for preparing me for this colossal job. So my route to becoming BGU's president was not trivial and definitely not standard. Coming from Aliquippa, a small mill town in western Pennsylvania, and a high school where less than half the students continued on to university, an academic research career was far off potential career paths, let alone becoming president of one of the world's great universities. But the path that led me here had its roots in that small town upbringing. First, Aliquippa is what would be now considered a town on the very lower end of the social economic scale, not so different from many of the communities surrounding Beersheba. This gave me an understanding of the potential needs of students, both Jewish and Bedouin, coming from these communities. Students who have not been given the best preparation for college, or who may have not had the strongest support from their families, but students who do have immense potential, immense untapped potential. Second, growing up as the only Jew in my entire school, I was acutely aware of the difficulties of meshing a Jewish and an American identity. My Jewish identity was forged in our local shul, which served a number of small communities, but even more so through my involvement in the Young Judea youth movement. Multiple summers spent in Young Judea camps forged in me a strong affinity for Zionism, which led to the realization that my future could only be here in Israel. After high school, I participated in a gap year program, which ended with several months at Kibbutz Keturah at the southern tip of the Negev. At the kibbutz, I was assigned to be a tractor driver. Now, I don't know how many of you have ever driven a tractor, and it sounds very romantic for Americans, but it's actually quite monotonous. You put the tractor in gear, go to the end of one row, turn it around, and repeat the same thing, back and forth. But it does give you a lot of time to think. And as one morning, as I was driving through the alfalfa fields on the kibbutz, I noticed that when you harvest alfalfa, it grows back. But when you harvest wheat, it doesn't. At this point, I knew absolutely nothing about plant biology, but I had a eureka moment and realized that if we could figure out why alfalfa grows back and wheat doesn't, and then use this knowledge to make wheat grow back following a harvest, perhaps we can feed the world. And it was at this moment that my trajectory changed. I switched from being pre-med to being pre-ag. And it was this decision that eventually led me to abandon an Ivy League education at Columbia University, because Columbia doesn't even have a class in botany, and brought me to the Hebrew University to study plant genetics. While I indeed had intended on studying agriculture, during my studies I was increasingly attracted to basic questions in plant biology and genetics. And from my first experience as an undergraduate research assistant, I was infected with the research virus, the need to ask questions and to make discoveries. We scientists, and many of those in the room will agree with me, actually have an addiction. We're addicted to discovery. That single moment when you've made a new discovery and you realize that you know something that no one else in the world knows is addictive as any drug. And it is that addiction, that one moment, maybe even only once a year, which leads us to spend long hours in the lab every day with numerous failed experiments. This addiction led me to do a PhD in plant genetics, and then a postdoctoral fellowship at Yale University, and eventually in 1996 to establishing my own lab at Tel Aviv University. During my time in Tel Aviv, I experienced the challenges of doing world-class research in an Israeli institution. I learned the importance of academic leadership, and perhaps too quickly, I was promoted to become chair of the Department of Plant Sciences. From there, I founded the university's MANA program in food security and became familiar with academic collaborations around the world. And then 5 years ago, I became dean of the Faculty of Life Sciences. And throughout all of this, I maintained an active research career. And even now, as I speak, well, not now because they're here, but they should be, 3 PhD students and 2 postdoctoral researchers are working in my lab hard to unravel this basic questions of plant biology. So there I was on a clear path with a job that I was passionate about. What on earth could have convinced me to leave all that to take up the mantle of president of Ben-Gurion University of the Negev? Well, the answer is actually quite simple. BGU embodies everything that brought me to Israel and everything that is great about Israel today. David Ben-Gurion once said, and you've heard this many times, that to be a realist in Israel, one must believe in miracles. And I think we can all agree that what we have here today is truly a miracle. Not only at Ben-Gurion University, but all around us in Beersheba and its surroundings. And personally, what exemplifies this miracle is how my wife sees Beersheba. See, she was a soldier here in 1980, teaching illiterate soldiers how to read Hebrew at the IDF base in the Old City. And as she tells me, when she left here in 1980, she was certain that she would never have reason to come back. And those of you who knew Beersheba back then, who knew BGU in its early days, I think could better understand, better than me, the miracle of her sitting here today and appreciate how tremendously things have changed since then. Over these past 40 years, we have created a new ecosystem where inspiration meets excellence, where the Zionist dream that anything is possible is alive and kicking. 40 years ago, when she left here, could you have imagined a campus with 20,000 students and close to 900 senior faculty? Could you have imagined that BGU would house the nation's leading cybersecurity research center, and that this center would work hand in hand not only with the national center, but also with many of the world's leading IT companies? Could you have imagined this cybersecurity center would be located in the heart of an amazing advanced technologies park, a park connected to the university, and a park that already provides 3,000 jobs to the people of Beersheba, to our students, and to our graduates. A park which already houses 70 cutting-edge high-tech companies. Could you have imagined Ben-Gurion University, together with the Soroka University Medical Center, would house the National Autism Research Center? That scientists from all over the country, from every other university north of here, would be coming to BGU to carry out research in autism. And could you have imagined BGU as the National Center for the Study of Zionism and Modern Israeli Literature? That we would be able to count among our professors such literary greats as Amos Oz, Aaron Appelfeld, or Edgar Keret. That the work being carried out at the Ben-Gurion Institute of the Study of Israel and Zionism in Stable Care is unique on the global stage and cardinal for the study of our country. Think about it. It's as if we house the archives of George Washington, the archives of Nehru, or the archives of Winston Churchill. On one of my first days as president, I actually went down to Stable Care, to the archives, and asked to see Ben-Gurion's diary from May 13th, 1948, the day before Israel declared its independence. I'm not embarrassed to tell you that I had goosebumps as I read his diary for that decisive day and got a glimpse of the hopes and the fears of this giant of a man as he was deciding whether or not to declare independence. While these amazing research accomplishments, along with many more like them, may have been only dreams 40 or 50 years ago, I trust that the Jewish dream of tikkun olam, of making the world a better place, was embedded in our DNA from the very beginning. 50 years ago, when the Minister of Education, Yigal Allon, officially dedicated the University of the Negev, the government's goal was to develop Beersheba and the Negev, and the university was to become a beacon whose light enriched the various populations of the South, whose very presence drove developments in local industry, culture, and politics. 50 years later, this commitment to our community is alive and flourishing. More than 6,000 students, Jews and Muslims, Christians and Druze, over 50% of our undergraduate student body are involved in a wide variety of community and social projects in the region under the auspices of our Department of Community Action. For example, some of these students live in the open apartments surrounding campus, where they interact with local children, adolescents, and also with adults, strengthening communities and building cooperation between the university and the city's neighborhoods. And I know that talking from students, from talking to many of my children's friends, that young adults from all over the country come to BGU not only because of the excellent education they receive here on campus, and not only because of the wonderful social scene, but precisely because they want to contribute to society, to feel a part of something bigger than themselves. This Tikkun Olam approach is clearly seen in our groundbreaking medical schools, including the Medical School for International Health, which pioneered a paradigm promoting global impact in the developing world. If mimicry is the best compliment, then we should be very proud, because similar programs have now sprouted up all over North America. And our graduates are truly, truly making a global impact. One such graduate, for example, who you may never have heard of, is Professor Joseph Sakrin. He is now the Director of Emergency Medicine at Johns Hopkins Hospital. But more than that, he is a leading medical activist who has focused on making gun control a public health concern. These incredible accomplishments and this unique spirit were on their own enough to bring me here. But I was also drawn to BGU by the challenge. The challenge to take what has been built over the past 49 years and to guide BGU in assuming its leadership role in Israeli academia. Now, I know that this sounds ambitious, but I sincerely believe that all the pieces are in place for BGU to become Israel's premier institute of higher education. First, we have an enthusiastic student body who chooses to be here. Second, we have a committed academic and administrative staff who live and breathe BGU. And third, we have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for growth and refining our vision. When I look out from the Double Helix Bridge, which I go to on the way to my apartment, at the barren ground which will become the North Campus, I envision state-of-the-art laboratories and research facilities, which will enable us to attract the best and brightest of Israel's young academic talent. I see modern classrooms to absorb the ever-growing student body, classrooms designed with the student of the mid-21st century in mind, classrooms where soldiers from the surrounding bases will embark on their academic studies while completing their military service. I see our innovation center, Yazamut 360, seamlessly integrated within these classrooms. And I see a conference center and a concert hall where we will host international meetings, world-class musicians, and where we will hold our important events, such as the honorary doctorates conferments and graduation ceremonies. I see a visitor center, finally, where we will have thousands of guests and tourists to come to witness firsthand the miracle of Ben-Gurion University of the Negev and to get a glimpse of our remarkable research. And I see connections, physical and intellectual, linking our university with the Advanced Technology Park, linking our university with the new IDF bases that are springing up all around campus, linking our university with the amazing evolving metropolis of Beersheba, and linking our university to the world. We are, without a doubt, Israel's university of the future. A global university interacting with the world's leading research institute. A global university leading the way in industry-academia interactions. A university where inspiration truly does meet excellence. But at the same time, we are a global university with a local soul. We can't forget that our DNA was forged here in the desert. It was encoded with the Zionist dream. No matter how much we grow, no matter the heights of our international reputation, we must remain grounded in the Negev, gratifying in knowing that our success is intimately connected to the success of the South, and thus directly connected to the development and the success of the State of Israel. Yes, friends, Ben-Gurion University of the Negev is like no other university in Israel. And this is the answer to what brought me here. I look forward to leading the university to increased greatness, and I'm confident that we will succeed. Confident not out of hubris, but out of the knowledge that I have wonderful people working together with me, people who share my passion for BGU. Well, I've been here less than 5 months. I've had the honor of meeting many of you already, our supporters. Your passion for our university is inspiring. I'm particularly inspired by the many of you sitting here who have been involved with BGU for decades. For example, this very auditorium in this building on this very campus carry the names of many of the friends who are sitting here today. And across all of our campuses, we see your influence on the development of BGU. We are very grateful. Thank you. And I also would like to thank the senior administration of the university, the rector, the director general, the vice presidents. Without their tireless dedication, I would not have been able to so quickly jump into this job. The same goes for the administration. I have the administrative staff. I have never, ever, and I've been at other places, met a more dedicated group of employees devoted to and identified with the university's mission. The academic staff faculty of the university, well, you've welcomed me as one of your own, and I feel nothing but partnership in leading the university forward. Thank you. And also, and the staff of the President's office, well, they do all of the work, keeping me prepared and at the right places in the right time, and I'm thankful for their dedication. And finally, to my family, the decision to leave Tel Aviv and come here was not a simple one. Without my wife, my partner Shira, encouraging me and motivating me, I doubt if I would have made the first tentative moves to talk to the search committee. And my children, who have to deal with the problem of having a father who is president to many of their friends. And on a very personal note, I would like to think that somewhere my parents are getting a big kick out of all of this. Finally, I thank you, Ben-Gurion of the university's Board of Governors. I know that I can count on you to aid me, to guide me, and to support the university in our efforts to grow into Israel's leading university of higher education. All of the pieces are in place. I have no doubt, none whatsoever, that the future of BGU is bright and promising. And I trust that we are all dedicated and excited to take the next steps of this journey, and that together we will succeed in writing the next chapter of the Ben-Gurion miracle. Thank you. So as you all know, this year we're marking the 49th Board of Governors meeting. And over the next year, culminating in next year's meeting, we will be celebrating our 50th anniversary with all due joy and festivities. And I'm very happy now to reveal the logo that will accompany with these celebrations. We asked several designers to suggest logos, and they had to fulfill a number of criteria. They had to be dynamic, they had to be joyful, they ought to be versatile, reflect the spirit of BGU. And the final logo was chosen collectively by a vote of everyone at the university, both students and staff. So here it is. So, now it's official. So this is actually the button for the countdown to 50. So I want you to join me. We'll count. It's like in the Eurovision, okay? You can't. By the way, before the company that does this is the same company that did the Eurovision, and I think they deserve a huge. So join me in counting down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We now have to stay here until it gets to 0. Thank you very much for the end of the first session.